Good morning, Year 4s. Today's math lesson, our learning objective is to use arithmetic skills. So our success criteria is to recall how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide most effectively, to check our work with the inverse, and then to apply arithmetic skills to word problems. Okay, so just as an end of term lesson, we're going to look at all the arithmetic skills that we have learned throughout Year 4, and then we're going to apply that to a quiz. So to begin with, we'll do a starter. And this is an arithmetic starter. So your arithmetic skills that we've learned so far is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So pause the video and have a go at the starter, and then we will mark it afterwards. Okay, well done. So these are your answers. Okay, so like I said before, today we're going to be looking at all the arithmetic skills of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And fractions is also under arithmetic, and we're going to start learning that next term. So we're going to just have a look at each of these 4 skills and just refresh our memory of how to do them. So our first skill is addition. So if we can't add something in our heads mentally, we need to use the column method. So I've done one example here, which we'll go through together. So we've got 3,121 plus 4,189. So if we get something that looks like that, we need to put it into a column method. So I'd like you to pause the video now and have a go at answering that question, and then we will go through it together afterwards. Okay, well done. So first of all, it is really important when you are doing column addition that you stack the numbers in the correct column. So we've got the thousands, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. And the number underneath needs to also be in the exact column. Okay, so we can't have you doing that, because sometimes if we don't have the squares in our maths book or we're rushing, we might end up doing that, and then our addition sum is wrong. So it's really important that it goes in the correct column. Okay, so when we are adding, we start in the ones column. So 1 add 9 is 10. Okay, so I can't put the answer 10 in the ones column, so we need to regroup it. So some of you regroup at the top, some of you regroup underneath. It does not matter where you regroup, as long as you know that you need to regroup the number. So I'm just going to regroup at the bottom, and then we put the 0 there. Okay, then we move to the tens column. So we've got 20 plus 80 plus 10. But just to make it easier, we can say 2 plus 8 plus 1. So we've got 2 plus 8, or 20 plus 80 is 100. And then plus another 10 is 110. So we need to regroup that as well, because we can't put 110 in the tens column. So the 100 will go into the hundreds column, and then the 10 will go into the tens column. Okay, then we move to the hundreds column. We've got 100 plus 100 is 200. We mustn't forget about the 100 that we've regrouped over there. So the answer will be 300. And then the thousands column, we've got 3,000 plus 4,000 is 7,000. Okay, so then the answer to this question is 7,310. Okay, so that is how we do column addition. So remember that, because we will be using that in our quiz later on. Okay, so now we're going to move to subtraction. So again, when we have a sum, we've got to line it up in the correct column. So we've got thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video now and have a go at the subtraction sum. Okay, well done. So we also start with the ones column. So we've got 2 take away 9. Now we always have to start with the number on top, because that was the first number here, and subtract the second number, which is underneath. So it's very tempting to go 9 take away 2 is 7. But that's not what we're actually doing. We're doing 2 take away 9. So don't subtract the top number from the bottom number. You need to subtract the bottom number from the top number. Okay, so we can't do that. We can't do 2 take away 9. So what we have to do is we need to go to the tens column. Okay, so we go to the tens column and we take a 10 from the tens column. So we cross out that 20 and then that 20 becomes a 10. So we replace it with a number 1, which stands for 10. And then the 10 that we are taking comes in front of the 2 to make a new number, which is 12. So now we can do 12 take away 9. Okay, and the answer is 3. Okay, then we move to the tens column. So now we are doing 1 or 10 take away 3 or 30. So don't go 2 take away 3 because we've crossed that 2 out already. So now we've got this new number, which is 1 take away 3. And again, we can't do that. So now we need to go to the hundreds column. So we go to the 500. And then that 500, we're going to cross out. And it's going to become 400. So we just put that number there. And then the 100 that we took away is going to go next to the 1 to create 11. Okay, so now we've got 11 take away 3, which is 8. Okay, then we can move to the hundreds column. So we've got 4 take away 6. So we also can't do that. So we have to go to the thousands column. So we go to the thousands and then that 7,000 gets crossed out and becomes 6,000. And then the 1,000 that we're taking from there goes next to the 4 to become 14 take away 6, or actually 1,400 take away 600. Okay, so then we have to subtract 14 take away 6, and the answer is 8. Okay, then we can do the final column, which is the thousands. So we've got 6,000 take away 5,000, and that one we can do, which is 1,000. Okay, so our final answer is 1,883. Okay, so this column addition column subtraction that I've just done is the trickiest one, where you have to regroup every single column. So they won't always be like that, but I just wanted to show you a tricky one where you've got to regroup every single one. Okay, so let's move on to multiplication, which we focused on this term. So hopefully we remember it and it's still refreshed in our minds. So when we get 128 times 4 like that, we can't just automatically use our 4 times table to work that out. So we need to use the column method as well. And it's very similar to addition and subtraction. We need to line up the numbers correctly in the correct column. And then we multiply by 4, which is a ones number, so it goes in the ones column. Okay, and again, we start in the ones column. So we can start with 8 times 4. So 8 times 4 is 32. So we can't put 32 here, so we regroup it as well, 30 and 2. Okay, then we do the tens column. So we've got 4 times 20. So remember that stands for 20, but we can use 4 times 2 to help us. So 4 times 2 equals 8, then 40 times 20 is going to equal 80. Okay, so we can put 80 in the tens column, but we can't forget about this 3, which is actually 30. So we need to add that to the 80. So 80 plus 30 is going to be 110, which then needs to be regrouped. So it'll be 110. Okay, then the last column, we've got 4 times 100. So we know that 4 times 1 equals 4. So therefore 4 times 100 is going to equal 400. So we're going to put 400 in the hundreds column, but we can't forget about this one. So we've got to add that. So it's 500 because this is standing for 100. So the answer is 500. So the final answer is 512. Okay, and then we also did division this term. So this also should be refreshed in your minds. So when we get a division sum, so 434 divided by 3, we need to use the bus stop method. So we'll draw our bus stop, we put the 3 on this side of the bus stop, and then the 434 in the inside of the bus stop. Okay. All right, so then this is the only one where we don't start in the ones column. We start with the column closest to what we're dividing by. So in this case, we've got hundreds. So we do 3 goes into 4 how many times? So remember we drew the multiples of 3 underneath to help us. So 3, 6, 9, 12. And we can see that 3 only goes into 4 once. But there is 1 left over. So we added that one. And we regrouped it to that 3 in the tens column. So we now have 13. Okay, or remember we drew dots as well. So you could also draw 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. And then you could circle 3 of them. The 3 went into 4 one time because we circled 3 of them, and then there was 1 left over, which is the one that we regrouped. Okay, then we did 3 into 13. So if you counted in multiples of 3 and you go 3, 6, 9, 12, the next number is going to be 15, which goes over 13. So we know that it goes in 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which takes us to 12. And then 1 more than 12 is 13. So we have to regroup the 1 that's left over. Okay, so now we've got a new number of 14. Okay, so you can also see that 3 goes into 14. So we look at the multiples, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So it doesn't go into 14 equally. So it only goes up to 12. So again, 4 times. And then we're going to have some left over. So if we draw our dots, this is also a good way to help us. We could do 14 dots. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 dots. And then we can circle groups of 3. So we've got 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. So there's our 4 groups we put up there. And we've got 2 left over. So remember, if we've got a leftover in the ones column, we have to write a remainder. So R2, which shows us there are still 2 left over. Okay, and then this term, we also did some checking with the inverse. So we know that the inverse of division is multiplication. Okay, so if our sum is 434 divided by 3, we know that the answer is 144, remainder 2. Let's just put that in there. Okay, so the inverse of division is multiplication. So I've got a new division sum over here because we need to have one without a remainder to check. So if we had to do the bus stop method, we'd put 360 inside the bus stop, and then 3 on the outside. Okay, so 3 goes into 3 one time, so we can put 1 above that in the correct column. And then 3 goes into 6. So if we did the multiples of 3, 3, 6, so it goes in perfectly. So that goes in twice. and then 3 goes into 0, 0 times. So we have an answer of 120. Okay, so if we wanted to check that to make sure that we are correct, we can use the inverse. So we can use multiplication. So remember we said that with division, the whole number is the first number. And in multiplication, the whole number is the answer. So we could say that that's 360. And then these two numbers are the parts. So we should have a sum that looks like this. 120 times 3 equals 360. So that's what that is telling us. So if we do a multiplication sum, 120 times 3, we should get 160. So we need to test that out. So we're going to do 120 multiplied by 3. Okay, so we start with the ones column. We've got 3 times 0 is 0. And then we've got 3 times 2, which is 6, or 3 times 20, which is 60. And then we've got 3 times 100, or 3 times 1, which is 3. And we do get 360. So therefore we know that this division sum that we did is correct because I've checked with the inverse. So there might be some of those questions in your quiz as well. Okay, so now you're going to go and complete the quiz on Teams. Remember to have a pencil and paper with you at all times to work out the answers. So you'll not be able to be doing these mentally. So it's not going to be multiple choice either. So you really need to work out the sums and then I will be marking them afterwards. So have fun, enjoy, and really take your time to work out these answers. So well done, year 4s, and have fun.